How's it going, guys? So I just wanted to make this video to quickly talk about my Mercenary, the gear I'm using on that Mercenary, and some of the new Runegrafts that I'm using in my build. So let's get into it. Okay, so starting off with the Mercenary, I'm using a War Priest. Now War Priests come with a Scepter and a Shield. So for the Scepter I'm using a Sign of a Sin Eater, which makes it so that enemies inflict elemental ailments onto our Mercenary instead of us, so we can't be chilled or frozen or shocked. All that goes to our Mercenary. I then have Centaur's Answer for the Shield. So essentially it's going to curse enemies when our Mercenary blocks, and these curses will ignore the curse limit, so it won't overwrite any curses that I apply. Then I have Vol's Vision. This gives our Mercenary some life, and it also allows him to regen 400 life per second, keeping it alive. I have Perkul's Toe, which makes nearby allies damage of hits is lucky, so that's going to increase my damage rolls. And since I'm playing a Lightning Smite build, I've got Doriani's Prototype, which makes nearby enemies have lightning resistance equal to our Mercenaries, and we pair that with 2 rings that have negative lightning resistance. On the left hand side here I've got a Tenebrous ring, which reduces the duration of ailments on our Mercenary by 30%, and that's obviously going to pair nicely with Sign of a Sin Eater. Now if I go to the stats real quick, you see my fire resist isn't capped out on the Merc, but it doesn't seem to die, so that's fine. But what's important here is it's capped out at minus 200% lightning res, so it allows me to deal a lot of damage to nearby enemies. Now moving on to the gloves, I've got some Hunter Influence gloves, and these gloves have chance to intimidate enemies on hit, which makes them take some more damage. I then have Calm's Binding for the belt, and this makes it so that nearby enemies convert 25% of their fizz damage to fire, which is a lot easier for us to mitigate. And lastly I've got these Eldritch Boots that have drop Brittle Ground while moving, and Brittle Ground essentially makes it a lot easier to crit enemies standing in it. Okay, so moving on to Runegrafts, I only have 2 in my build right now, and those are the Runegraft of a River. Now this one gives a 20% chance on reaching low life to recover to full life, so that helps with survivability, and it's really cheap at like 3 to 5 chaos. And more importantly, I have the Runegraft of Gemcraft, which is a very, very powerful Runegraft you can insert into your build, and this one is like 2 divines I think, but 305 chaos, something like that. And what it does is give you +1 to the level of all non-exceptional support gems, which is pretty huge. So every single support gem, with the exception of Enlighten, Enhance and Empower, gets +1, and I don't really need to explain why that's really good. And before I end this video, I just wanted to mention that jewel crafting is still profitable this league. Anyway, that's all for this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye guys!